You know the feeling. You're sitting across from someone you care about, but the space between you feels miles wide. It's not a fight, it's just a quiet hum of distraction. You check your phone. They check theirs. You both wait for the other to bridge the gap, but the moment slips by. It's the slow drift of modern life, where we trade shared vulnerability for comfortable distance. We protect our hearts by keeping things light, hoping that if we don't get too close, we won't get hurt. But that safety comes at a cost, leaving both men and women feeling unseen, even when they're right next to each other. We mistake silence for peace, when really it's just a buffer zone to keep the messy parts safe. We've built walls, forgetting how to climb down, leaving the other side feeling far away. Here at the Velvet Verdict, we're looking at this together. But let's be transparent about our lens. We are a hybrid team, human writers and editors working hand in hand with artificial intelligence. This means our storytelling isn't algorithmic guesswork chasing clicks. It's a deliberate partnership where human compassion steers the ship, and AI helps us anchor every insight in the solid ground of social science. We bring you evidence-based storytelling, not vibes. We check the receipts so you can trust the direction. Healing requires honesty from us, too. Sapphire flags drift, ensuring we focus on healing, not division. We aren't here to accuse. Both doors are open. The reality is that men and women are both carrying wounds, both fighting isolation, and both longing for a way back to connection that doesn't feel risky. We aim to heal the habits keeping you apart. We'll identify the hurt and offer a gentle path forward. No blame, only understanding. This offers compassionate perspective, not therapy. Let's drop the defenses and explore rebuilding trust, step by step. So, here's the heart of what we're looking at today. On one hand, we have this deep, shared hunger to be known and held. On the other, we've built these quiet walls of distance that feel safer than they do lonely. Why did we make this trade? How did shared vulnerability get swapped for comfortable distance? And is there a way back that doesn't ask either of you to lose your dignity or your peace? We're not here to point fingers. The data shows a pattern, but patterns aren't people. We're curious about the mechanics of this drift. It's not that men and women don't want connection. It's that the old scripts for getting it feel broken, maybe even dangerous. You might be holding back because you're afraid of being dismissed. She might be pulling away because she's tired of carrying the emotional load, or vice versa. The hurt looks different on both sides, but the isolation feels the same. We see the same fear in the silence between you. It's not malice, it's just exhaustion from trying to get it right. We want to explore how modern habits, scrolling, busyness, the pressure to be self-sufficient, have quietly trained us to protect ourselves at the cost of intimacy. This isn't about who's at fault, and it's about recognizing that we're both stuck in a loop where protecting the heart ends up starving it. Our goal is simple: find the compassionate steps that let you lower the shield without getting hurt. We're looking for a bridge built on mutual respect, where vulnerability isn't a risk, but a shared language. Let's look at how we can rewrite these habits together, honoring the need for safety while making room for the closeness you both crave. What the data shows: the partnership shift. When we step back and look at modern relationships, the numbers tell a quiet story of shifting ground. In 1990, nearly 2/3 of adults between 25 and 54 were married, but by 2019, that share had dropped to just over half. At the same time, the number of people living without a spouse or partner climbed from 29% to 38%. For those turning 40, the change is even starker. A quarter had never married by 2021, rising from 20% a decade earlier and just 6% in 1980. This isn't merely about delayed timelines, it reveals diverging paths. Among younger adults, the gap has widened considerably. Today, 63% of men under 30 identify as single, while only 34% of women in that same bracket do. For middle-aged adults, the balance has similarly tilted. By 2019, 39% of men aged 25 to 54 were unpartnered, compared to 36% of women, flipping the equal footing both shared in 1990. These figures don't point to failure, they map a collective hesitation. This quiet retreat reflects a deeper human instinct to protect ourselves when vulnerability feels unsafe. Yet protection alone leaves us isolated. Healing begins when we stop viewing distance as a personal failing and start seeing it as a shared signal to adjust our pace. The data simply shows where we've landed. From here, the direction isn't about forcing old structures back into place, but recognizing that both men and women navigate the same underlying ache for secure belonging. By acknowledging this shared hesitation without assigning fault, we can begin lowering our guards in smaller, mutual ways, trading isolation for the quiet courage of showing up exactly as we are. What the data shows: the loneliness curve. The measurable shift in how we spend our days reveals isolation growing across generations. For young people, the change is stark. People aged 15–29 spent about 45% more time alone in 2023 than in 2010, with daily solitude stretching from roughly 4 hours to about 6 hours. This reflects a deepening distance. That distance shows up in how we feel. Currently, 20% of U.S. adults report feeling loneliness a lot of the day yesterday, marking the highest level recorded in 2 years. When we zoom in on severity, 36% of all Americans report experiencing serious loneliness, a figure that climbs sharply to 61% among young adults aged 18–25. The ache touches everyone, though the contours vary. Among younger demographics, 25% of U.S. men aged 15–34 said they felt lonely a lot of the previous day, compared with 18% of young women the same age. This gap highlights a specific vulnerability for young men, yet the data reminds us the burden is heavy on all shoulders. The isolation also weighs on those holding families together. In the same survey, 51% of mothers with young children reported serious loneliness. This shows that even amidst daily care, disconnection runs deep. These statistics describe the wound, not the verdict. They invite us to see this curve as a shared challenge, moving past assumptions toward compassionate steps to bridge the gap. What the data shows: the digital dating paradox. We often assume connection tools mean we're finding each other, but the numbers reveal a quiet retreat. 3 in 10 U.S. adults say they have ever used a dating site or app, with just 9% reporting they did so in the past year. The digital landscape is vast, yet active engagement is a small slice of life. This gap suggests tools don't automatically create the courage to reach out. The paradox is clear: visibility hasn't solved the search. Among single Americans, the largest share, 57%, say they are not currently looking for a relationship or casual dates. This majority opting out speaks volumes. It's not that people lack desire. The loneliness data shows the ache is real. Instead, digital tools may amplify hesitation. When profiles feel like judgment and swipes carry weight, stepping back feels safer than risking rejection. This hesitation isn't a flaw in men or women. It's a shared human response to overwhelming pressure. Both sides can feel drained by the need to perform, losing the joy of simply meeting. Neither gender is at fault. The wound lives in the dynamic. The data invites us to see this distance as a shared signal. We aren't failing to love. We're navigating a landscape that can feel exhausting. The direction is to lower the stakes. Healing comes when we stop blaming the tools, or each other. Rather than forcing a hollow search, we can ask what connection feels safe enough to pursue. Vulnerability thrives where we feel secure, not under the glare of screens. Compassion means acknowledging the weight of the pause. By honoring the need to pause, we create space to step forward together when the moment feels right. Here, roots. We must look beneath individual choices to see the currents pushing us. We're retreating because the ground has shifted, not because we've stopped caring. Economic uncertainty hums in the background. When stability feels fragile, the instinct is to conserve energy and protect what matters. This isn't character failure for men or women. It's a shared response to pressure. When the future feels unpredictable, vulnerability feels like a risk we can't afford. Men and women both carry this burden, even if it shows differently. The pressure to perform or protect masks a longing for safety, turning natural reach into guarded stance. Mistaking this retreat for coldness misses the heart trying to stay steady. Social scripts that once guided us have frayed. Old maps fail, new ones remain undrawn. In that ambiguity, caution takes the wheel. hesitation hardens into habit. Digital mediation fills the silence. Screens offer a safe buffer, letting us curate presence without the messiness of exposure. Over time, this buffer becomes a barrier, normalizing withdrawal that protects us momentarily but starves us for depth. We trade vulnerability for distance, not by preference, but because life's architecture makes intimacy feel precarious. Screens shield against rejection but dull the touch we crave. Recognizing these forces makes sense, not excuses. Seeing withdrawal as a coping strategy for stress stops us from judging silence. We can ask, "What weight are you carrying?" rather than, "Why won't you let me in?" This shift opens a door. It invites patience that acknowledges the storm, creating a safer harbor where connection can gently take root. Healing begins by naming these currents without shame. Acknowledging withdrawal as a survival response releases the guilt that keeps us stuck. Compassion reminds us we navigate the same rough waters. We can offer grace to lower shields, gesture by gesture. When we look closely at the silence between us, we see that men and women are often carrying the same heavy load, just wrapped in different cloth. Men often withdraw to protect a sense of purpose, fearing that stepping forward risks ridicule. This isn't coldness, it's a shield for a tender place. Women often step back from unseen emotional labor, exhausted by holding space for others while feeling invisible. This isn't rejection, it's a plea to be truly seen. These aren't character flaws. They are survival strategies honed by a world that punishes vulnerability. He pulls back to preserve dignity, she steps away to reclaim her voice. Both seek safety. Both seek love. We mistake armor for the enemy, reading silence as indifference and intensity as criticism, missing the shared plea for safety. Healing begins when we stop judging the shield. We honor his need for competence and her need for connection without demanding they look the same. His quiet and her worry are often two notes in the same chord of fear. By naming these defenses as shared survival mechanisms, we remove the blame. We create room to say, "I see you're protecting yourself and I'm doing the same." That mutual recognition is the bridge. It invites us to lower our guards not because we are weak, but because we are finally safe enough to be real. Together, we can trade the comfort of distance for the courage of being known. We don't need grand gestures to start mending. Healing begins in quiet, low-stakes moments where pressure fades. Think of small rituals, a genuine compliment, asking a neighbor about their garden, or listening without preparing a rebuttal. These aren't just polite habits, they are training wheels for trust. Practicing these micro-connections gently reminds our nervous systems that engagement doesn't always mean danger. Reciprocal vulnerability isn't oversharing or dumping burdens on those unearned. It's a gentle rhythm. Share a little of how you're feeling, then leave space for them to respond in kind. Respect boundaries if they step back, meet them if they step forward. This dance works for everyone. Men and women alike find safety in this incremental approach. It allows us to test waters safely without risking drowning. We learn that sharing a struggle doesn't diminish strength. It often deepens respect between us. We all carry isolation and contribute to the wall, whether withdrawing or pushing too hard. We aren't here to fix anyone or prove we're the better communicator. The goal is simply to show up as human. When we admit our own awkwardness or fear, we give permission for the other person to do the same. That shared humanity is the glue that holds us together when the noise fades. A note from us as your hybrid guides. While we offer these perspectives to help navigate the social landscape, we are not clinicians. If you're facing deep trauma, persistent depression, or acute distress, these gentle steps aren't enough. Please, reach out to a licensed professional who can provide the specialized care you deserve. There is profound courage in seeking that help, and we honor that choice. Let's start small. Let's be the ones who offer the first soft word, the first open ear. We can rebuild this together, gently, one low-stakes connection at a time. As we wrap up, remember this journey isn't about fixing a broken world overnight. The distance we feel often stems from fear of misunderstanding, not a gender divide. We've all felt the sting of unmet expectations and habits that kept us safe but lonely. Healing begins when we see each other as partners, not problems. It's a shared struggle, not a battle. Men and women both carry isolation, shaped by different pressures, but united by the longing to be known. Here is a gentle prompt. Offer yourself the grace you give a friend. If guarded, forgive the shield. If distant, see your silence as a plea for safety, not rejection. Self-compassion bridges the gap, letting us reach out without demanding perfection. Softening toward ourselves creates space to soften toward others. This isn't excusing behavior, it's understanding the root to respond with care. Treating our hearts with tenderness stops us from projecting insecurity onto those we love. Connection is possible not by ignoring pain, but by facing it with kindness. Data maps the wounds, your choices write the healing. You can turn tension to understanding by listening to hear, not to defend. Real connection doesn't require grand gestures. It asks only that we show up, imperfectly, with a willingness to bridge the gap. Thank you for being here. This episode blends human insight and AI collaboration to serve our mission. We're grateful for your openness and commitment to a warmer world. May you find courage in vulnerability and peace in connection.